You know, sometimes you hear African American people say, we built this, right? When it comes to America, sometimes you hear, and it's a familiar refrain, you hear African American people say, we built this, okay? Well, you know, it'll be hard pressed to say that one group built the whole nation by itself. You know, you gotta be fair about things, right? But there are certain industries, certain modes of commerce that black people can proudly say that if they didn't build it, they had a huge hand in making it be built. And this is one of those things. You are looking at a railway system in Atlanta, Georgia, okay? And yeah, those railroad tracks here in the South, Southern railway systems, African American people can feel confident in saying that we built this. Our ancestors built this. Now, mind you now, this isn't a rail measuring contest. We're not stupid. We know that there were other groups that built parts of the railway system in other parts of the country. The Irish, I believe, up north, the Chinese out west. But when it comes to the South, the old dirty South, yeah, African Americans built this. People that were enslaved built the Southern Railway system. It was to the point that many of these Southern railroad systems companies owned African American enslaved people. They actually owned the slaves who built their tracks, who laid these tracks, who cleared this land. And that's the other thing I want you to point out, understand. This land had to be cleared because the South was basically a big forest, okay? And yeah, somebody had to move those trees off of there. Somebody had to grade that land. Somebody had to put those rocks down, or that gravel and those planks and those rails. Somebody had to do it. And in the South, in the 1830s, 1820s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, even after slavery in the 1870s, during the Reconstruction period, yeah, it was African Americans. And this is backbreaking labor, right? This is hard work. Gandy dancers, brakemen, people who have to, they're gonna cut down the trees. This is hard work. And you would think it's exclusive to men, but it wasn't. Yes, African American women were right there alongside a lot of these men building these tracks, making this thing work, okay? So, and think about it. This is Atlanta. By rights, Atlanta should not have been such a big city as it is. Atlanta is basically, the original name for Atlanta, one of the original names is Terminus. I'm gonna show you where I am. I'm off of Perry Boulevard, right? And this is a railroad yard. I'm not gonna say the name of the company, but it's a railway yard, okay? So, by rights, Atlanta should not be as big as it is because we're not on the coast. We're not near a major natural lake system. So we didn't really have enough water to support the people that it did. Atlanta was the terminating spot for two different railway systems. Okay, and one of them named was the Atlantic, and I can't remember the other one. But in honor of the Atlantic portion of that railway system, yeah, they changed the name from Terminus, which means the terminating spot for those two railways, to Atlanta, which is the female version of Atlantic. Okay, so once this city started growing, we had to have a large water source. And in order to do that, they ended up flooding a town or an area north of here. And the name of that town is Oscarville. That is your homework assignment. You're going to look up Oscarville, Georgia, and see why it became what it is. And also, I just want you to know that these railway systems in the South were built on the backs of enslaved and persecuted African Americans. So next time you take your Amtrak trip somewhere, keep that in mind. Dirty South out. And by the way, if you think about it, building the infrastructure of this society, yeah, as I mentioned before, we know that we didn't exclusively build the railway system throughout the United States. Again, the Irish in the north, the Chinese in the west, and the people of African descent in the south. You might want to say the usual suspects. African Americans and immigrants built this place. African Americans and immigrants built this place. Remember that.